Welcome to Proofless, the true crime podcast that dives deep into the mysteries that leave us grasping for answers. Cases where the evidence is thin, the leads are fleeting, and the truth remains maddeningly out of reach. I'm your host, Anna Berger, and this is the second episode of Proofless, where we explore the most perplexing unsolved cases in American history. Today, we're delving into a case that has baffled investigators, haunted a family, and sparked endless debate among true crime enthusiasts: the disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley, a 23-year-old woman who vanished from a cruise ship in the Caribbean in 1998. This story is a tangled web of fleeting sightings, cryptic clues, and a family's unyielding quest for answers in a case that defies explanation. So, settle in, because this one's going to take you on a journey across oceans, through theories of abduction and trafficking, and into the heart of a mystery that's as unsettling as it is unresolved. Let's transport ourselves to March 1998. The setting is the Caribbean Sea, aboard the Rhapsody of the Seas, a luxurious cruise ship operated by Royal Caribbean International. The ship is on a week-long voyage departing from San Juan, Puerto Rico, with stops in Aruba, Curacao, and other tropical destinations. Among the passengers are Amy Lynn Bradley and her family, her parents, Ron and Iva Bradley, and her younger brother, Brad. Amy, a 23-year-old from Petersburg, Virginia, is vibrant, outgoing, and full of life. She's recently graduated from Longwood University with a degree in physical education, where she excelled as a basketball player and competitive swimmer. With her athletic build, warm smile, and distinctive tattoos, a Tasmanian devil on her shoulder and a gecko on her lower back, Amy is the kind of person who stands out in a crowd. She works as a lifeguard and is planning a career in coaching, with dreams of starting a family someday. The cruise is a celebration, a chance for the Bradleys to relax and make memories together after Amy's graduation. The Rhapsody of the Seas is a floating paradise. 11 decks of restaurants, pools, and entertainment, carrying over 2,000 passengers and 700 crew members. For Amy, it's a chance to unwind, dance, and soak up the sun. On the night of March 23rd, 1998, the ship is docked in Curacao, and Amy is enjoying herself. She spends the evening at the ship's disco, dancing with friends and a musician from the ship's band named Alistair Douglas, known as Yellow. Her brother Brad joins her for part of the night, but he heads back to their family cabin around 1 a.m. Amy stays out longer, seen dancing with Yellow until around 3:30 a.m. Witnesses later tell investigators that she seemed happy, carefree, and in control. No signs of intoxication or distress. Around 4 a.m., Amy returns to the family's cabin on deck 8, where she's sharing a room with her parents and brother. She sits on the balcony, smoking a cigarette and chatting with her father, Ron, who's half asleep. Ron recalls her saying she was tired but happy, and he drifts off around 5:30 a.m. When he wakes up an hour later, Amy is gone. At first, Ron and Iva aren't alarmed. Amy is an adult, and the ship is a contained environment. Where could she go? They assume she's grabbed breakfast or gone for a walk on deck. But as the morning progresses, their unease grows. Amy's sandals and lighter are on the balcony, but her purse, ID, and other belongings are in the cabin. She's nowhere to be found in the dining areas, gyms, or pool decks. By 7 a.m., the Bradleys report her missing to the ship's crew, expecting a swift response. Instead, they're met with what they later describe as indifference. The crew suggests Amy might be somewhere on the ship, perhaps sleeping off a late night. But the Bradleys know their daughter. She wouldn't disappear without a word. They insist on a search, but the ship's staff is slow to act, citing protocol and the need to avoid alarming other passengers. By 8 a.m., as the Rhapsody of the Seas prepares to depart Curacao for its next stop, the Bradleys are frantic. They demand that the ship be locked down and searched thoroughly, but Royal Caribbean refuses, stating that they can't detain passengers or disrupt the itinerary. A cursory announcement is made over the ship's intercom, asking Amy to report to the purser's desk, but it's not repeated, and no comprehensive search is conducted. The Bradleys are told that Amy might have disembarked in Curacao, but her passport is still in the cabin, and there's no record of her leaving the ship. As the ship sails away from Curacao, the Bradleys feel their daughter slipping further out of reach. The FBI is notified as Amy is an American citizen, and the agency takes jurisdiction over the case due to the international waters involved. Agents board the ship when it reaches its next port, Aruba, on March 25th, but by then, critical time has been lost. The FBI interviews passengers and crew, focusing on those who interacted with Amy the night before. Alistair Douglas, the band member, confirms he danced with her but says they parted ways around 3:30 a.m. He claims he went to his own cabin and has an alibi from a fellow crew member. The FBI also reviews security footage, but the ship's cameras are limited, covering only certain public areas, and none show Amy after she left the disco. The lack of surveillance in key areas, like the hallways and stairwells, becomes a major obstacle. The Bradleys take matters into their own hands, searching the ship themselves. They knock on doors, question passengers, and comb through every accessible area, from the engine rooms to the crew quarters. They find nothing. When the ship returns to San Juan at the end of the cruise, the family stays behind, distributing flyers and working with local authorities in Curacao to search the island. But Curaçao's police have limited resources, and the trail is already cold. Amy's disappearance is officially classified as a missing persons case, with the FBI leaning toward the theory that she either fell overboard or was abducted. The Bradleys reject the overboard theory. Amy was a strong swimmer, and there's no evidence of a fall, no body in the water, and no witnesses reporting a splash. The abduction theory, however, gains traction, especially as disturbing details emerge. One of the most chilling leads comes from a taxi driver in Curacao. He tells investigators he saw a woman matching Amy's description on the morning of March 24th, walking near the port with two men. She appeared distressed, he says, but he didn't intervene. The sighting is unconfirmed, but it plants a seed. Could Amy have been taken off the ship? The Bradleys learn that cruise ships in the 1990s were not as secure as they are today. Passengers and crew could move freely between the ship and port, and security checks were minimal. The possibility that Amy was smuggled off the ship, perhaps drugged or coerced, becomes a focal point of the investigation. As the weeks turn into months, the case takes a darker turn. The Bradleys receive reports of possible sightings of Amy in the Caribbean. In August 1998, a Canadian tourist claims he saw a woman resembling Amy on a beach in Curacao, accompanied by two men. She had a Tasmanian devil tattoo, he says, and seemed out of place, almost like she was being watched. In 1999, a U.S. Navy sailor reports seeing a woman who looked like Amy in a brothel in Barbados. He says she approached him, said her name was Amy, and asked for help before being pulled away by a man. The sailor didn't report it at the time, thinking it was a misunderstanding, but later contacted the Bradleys when he saw Amy's missing person poster. These sightings, while compelling, are never verified, and no physical evidence ties them to Amy. The most disturbing lead comes in 2005 when a woman named Judy Marr contacts the Bradleys. She claims she saw Amy in a department store bathroom in Barbados in January 1999. According to Marr, the woman said she was being held against her will and needed help. But before Marr could act, a man entered the bathroom and took the woman away. Marr describes the woman as having Amy's distinctive tattoos. The Bradleys are convinced this was their daughter, but by the time they alert authorities, the trail is cold. These sightings fuel a chilling theory that Amy was a victim of human trafficking, possibly taken from the ship and sold into a network operating in the Caribbean. The human trafficking angle gains traction because of the cruise ship's environment. In 1998, the cruise industry was less regulated than it is today, and ports like Curacao were known as hubs for illicit activity. The Bradleys learned that young women have disappeared from cruise ships before, often with little follow-up from authorities. The FBI investigates the crew, particularly Alistair Douglas and other employees who interacted with Amy, but no one is charged. The lack of cooperation from Royal Caribbean frustrates the Bradleys. The company provides limited access to crew records, citing privacy concerns, and the ship's logs offer no new insights. The Bradleys sue Royal Caribbean for negligence, arguing that the company failed to secure the ship or respond adequately to Amy's disappearance, but the lawsuit is dismissed due to lack of evidence. The investigation also explores other theories. Could Amy have been targeted by someone she met on the ship? Passengers report that Amy was friendly and approachable, chatting with strangers at the disco. The FBI interviews a photographer who took pictures of Amy during the cruise, as well as other passengers who saw her that night. But no clear suspects emerge. Another theory suggests Amy may have been lured off the ship, perhaps by someone posing as a friend or offering a shore excursion. The Bradleys recall that Amy was excited about Curaçao and had mentioned wanting to explore the island. Could someone have exploited that? The overboard theory, while initially considered, is largely dismissed. The Rhapsody of the Seas was docked in Curaçao when Amy vanished, and the railings on Deck 8 were high. Too high for an accidental fall. There's no evidence of a struggle in the cabin, and Amy's swimming skills make drowning unlikely. Still, the FBI conducts sonar searches of the waters around Curaçao, finding nothing. The lack of a body or crime scene makes every theory speculative, and the case grows colder with each passing year. The Bradleys become tireless advocates for their daughter. They appear on shows like Oprah, Dr. Phil, and America's Most Wanted, keeping Amy's face in the public eye. They work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, distributing posters across the Caribbean and beyond. They offer a $250,000 reward for information leading to Amy's safe return, funded by their savings and donations. Their home in Virginia becomes a command center, filled with files, maps, and tip logs. Ron and Iva travel to Curaçao multiple times, meeting with local police and private investigators, but the island's authorities are overwhelmed, and progress is slow. In the early 2000s, the internet becomes a new battleground for the Bradleys. They create a website, amybradley.net, to share updates and collect tips. Online forums like Web Sleuths buzz with theories from trafficking to crew involvement to a possible connection to other cruise ship disappearances. One disturbing lead emerges in 2004 when a private investigator hired by the Bradleys receives emailed photos of a woman resembling Amy in suggestive poses posted on an adult website. The woman's face is partially obscured, but her tattoos match Amy's. The FBI traces the website to a server in the Caribbean, but the trail goes cold. The photos, while unconfirmed, devastate the Bradleys, who fear Amy is alive but trapped in a nightmare. The case takes a toll on the family. Ron and Iva's marriage strains under the stress, though they remain united in their search. Brad, who is 21 when Amy vanished, struggles with guilt, wondering if he could have stayed with her longer that night. The Bradleys face criticism from some who believe Amy may have left voluntarily, but they dismiss this. Amy was close to her family, had no history of running away, and left behind her passport, money, and belongings. "She would never do this to us," Iva tells Dateline in 2005. "She's out there and someone knows where." By 2010, the case is officially cold, but the Bradleys don't give up. They hire private investigators who uncover new leads, including reports of a woman resembling Amy in Jamaica in 2008. The sightings are always fleeting, never conclusive. The FBI maintains an open file, but resources are limited, and the international scope of the case complicates jurisdiction. The Bradleys criticize Royal Caribbean for what they see as a cover-up, accusing the company of prioritizing its image over their daughter's safety. In 2011, a fire destroys part of the Rhapsody of the Seas' records, further hampering the investigation. Advancements in technology offer hope. In 2017, the FBI releases an age-progressed image of Amy showing what she might look like at 42. The image circulates widely, generating new tips, but none pan out. In 2023, the Bradleys push for genetic genealogy testing, inspired by cases like the Golden State Killer. They submit Amy's DNA, collected from her belongings, to companies like Parabon Nanolabs, hoping to match it to unidentified remains or trace the photos from the adult website. As of July 2025, these efforts are ongoing, but no breakthroughs have emerged, according to a recent ABC News report. Theories about Amy's fate are endless. The human trafficking theory remains the most compelling, given the Caribbean's history as a hub for such crimes. The sightings in Curaçao, Barbados, and Jamaica suggest Amy may have been moved through a network, possibly involving crew members or locals with access to the ship. The crew theory persists, with some pointing to Alistair Douglas, though no evidence links him directly. Others speculate Amy was targeted by a passenger or someone she met in Curaçao, perhaps lured off the ship under false pretenses. A less likely theory suggests she wandered off and met with an accident, but the lack of a body or evidence makes this improbable. Online communities keep the case alive. Reddit threads and true crime podcasts dissect every detail, from the security footage, which doesn't exist for Amy's disappearance, to the ship's layout. Some theorize a connection to the disappearance of other women from cruise ships, like Marion Carver in 2004. Others believe the FBI botched the investigation by not locking down the ship immediately. The Bradleys have praised the FBI's efforts but remain frustrated by the lack of answers. The emotional impact on the Bradleys is profound. Ron and Iva, now in their 70s, have spent nearly half their lives searching for Amy. "We'll never stop," Ron tells People magazine in 2024. "She's our daughter, and we owe her this." Brad, now in his 40s, has a family of his own, but carries the weight of his sister's absence. The case has also raised awareness about cruise ship safety. In 2010, Congress passed the Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act, requiring better security measures, partly inspired by cases like Amy's. As of July 2025, Amy Lynn Bradley's case remains unsolved. The FBI offers a $25,000 reward, and the Bradleys maintain their $250,000 reward. The family hopes that someone, somewhere, will come forward with the truth. Was Amy taken from the rhapsody of the seas and swept into a world of exploitation? Did she cross paths with the wrong person at the wrong time? Or is there another explanation we haven't yet uncovered? This case, like so many we'll explore on Proofless, is defined by its lack of closure, a mystery that lingers like a shadow on the horizon. That's all for the second episode of Proofless. Amy Lynn Bradley's disappearance is a case that grips you with its strangeness and tragedy. It's a story of a young woman lost at sea, not in the literal sense, but in a way that's just as isolating. If you have information about Amy's case, contact the FBI or visit amybradley.net. Share your thoughts on our website or social media, and join us next time as we unravel another mystery where the truth remains just out of reach. Until then, keep searching for answers.